I'm Macy.
And I'm ELERI, and we're going to have a little chat about the music industry and our experiences as artists.
Yes. Well, firstly, how are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you.
Good.
Running a little bit late today, but apparently musicians are notorious
Musicians,
for that.
yeah, literally. But this is really cute, actually.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm really excited. And obviously, we kind of know each other a little bit. And obviously, country singer and then pop.
Yeah, country and pop.
It's
and
really
I think they're a
nice.
good crossover. I do a little bit of pop sometimes, and it all sort of blends in genres. So maybe how did you get started into the music industry? Because I feel like I've known you for a while from Forte and things.
Yeah, we've known each other probably now for about, I don't know, was it 5 years maybe?
Yeah,
4
probably.
years, 5 years. Yeah, so obviously before Forte, I started off quite young. So I think I was about 9 when I realised I wanted to do music full time, which is a really young age to realise that, I think. But yeah, I just entered competitions in schools, and I always wanted to be a dancer before being a singer. So I was doing my ballet lessons and stuff, and all that. And then I entered a competition, and then I ended up winning it. And I was maybe this could be fun, being a singer. Obviously didn't have a clue about the genre or anything, so I was just putting Price Tag by Jessie J out all the time. I sung it in every competition I was in.
Good song, good
song.
song.
Yeah. And then, from the age of 11, I started going into recording studios.
Oh, wow.
And
really
writing
young.
really young, looking back. And obviously I'm 23 now, so quick maths. Is that 12 years nearly? Oh, wow. Yeah, 12 years. That's crazy. And then obviously just grew up around the music, the circuit and stuff. So I used to do a lot of pubs and stuff and, cover stuff, which is obviously great. And then realised that I just wanted to write music then at about the age of, I would say 13.
Oh wow, that's really, really. I think I started writing about 13 as well.
So it's a nice age to
you have all these big feelings as a teenager, and you're channel these.
Literally, and obviously being in school at that point, being so young, doing music. A lot of my friends at the time was a bit what are you doing? This is different. Why are you not just studying your maths? I was always sneaking out to go to the studio and stuff. And I think I just found the love for it then from a really young age.
Wow.
And I've just kept pushing. I kept pushing
That's
forward.
Amazing. So to know so young as well, I feel I sort of maybe did, but I was quite focused on school and just doing other things. I wanted to be an actor for a while.
Literally.
Again, I wanted to be a dancer. I did ballet as well. And I actually did a degree in musical theatre and acting and everything like that.
I didn't know this about you.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I did that, and part of that I got to go to North Carolina in the States to do part of the third year, which you might have known.
I remember you saying something. Yeah, but
and I just heard a lot of music out there, and I'd already been writing my tragic emo feelings out on a guitar, as most teenagers tend to do. So it kind of started there, and then when I finished uni, we did a bit of songwriting for the last musical that we did before graduation. And I was I actually really love the writing, and I just wanted to work with the musical director the whole time. I was I don't even want to be in this play, I just write it. I just want to be behind the thing. Obviously I love performing as well, so
yes, of course.
I feel I use all of the things I've learned and put them together to be an artist, and there's a lot of skills you need, isn't it?
Literally, I love that. Yeah, definitely. And like you said, I did a bit of musical theatre back in the day as well, and I still do dip in and out now because I feel it's good for the vocal cords.
Definitely.
Getting up there soprano.
Challenge yourself.
Yeah, so and then obviously I went through school, still realising that I wanted to be in the music industry and wanted to pursue it as a career. And then I think I got to college, and that was the last straw for me, because I was I just don't want to be here. I was I don't want to be in college. I didn't want to go to uni really. I just knew that music was what I wanted to do.
That's awesome. I think
so. That was scary. It was very scary, because I seen all my friends going off to uni and stuff, and I was do I just take the jump and just kind of just throw myself into it? And I was why not?
Do it. And the best thing is about that is that you can always go back 20 years time and do a random course in something else if you decide that's what you want to do.
Exactly.
I went back and did a master's in songwriting when years after I finished uni, because I was well, I just want to do this now, and I might as well have some practice at it, have some access to studios, find out a bit more about producing and logic. I'm definitely not a music producer.
Me either.
No interest.
Oh, no.
But I knowing a little bit.
Just knowing basics.
People,
yeah, which is really annoying, because I wish, looking back, I kind of went into that a bit more, you know, like the logic and like producing. But then I'm just like, I just want to write the songs and just perform on stage. Like, I don't know if you feel the same. Yeah, definitely. So
no, I had when I was producing my last album, my two producers, Dan and Millie, were like, oh, they were doing something with like drum sounds, and they were both like arguing over like, no, it's just sound like this, and I was like, I can't really tell the difference here, guys. Like, just make it sound good.
Just make it sound pretty.
I just don't care enough about production to like get involved that way. So yeah, that's what I knew.
Literally, and that was the thing. Obviously, like being really young going into studios, like half the time I'd be like, what's going on? They take like hours to like do a track. And I didn't get it at the time, obviously. I was just like, I went in there just to sing like the vocals. But, you know, 11-year-old me was like bored at the back of the studio thinking, oh, when is he going to be finished with my track? But like, now, like, obviously I appreciate like everything that goes into it, because it's so much work, isn't it? Like, it's crazy just to produce one track. Like, it's just crazy.
So how have you found like releasing music? Because you've done like a few EPs now. I can't remember where I think you started with Cinema. I do remember that song.
Oh yeah, Cinema. Yeah, my little baby. So that was obviously like my first ever release, which I think was just after lockdown or before lockdown.
Oh, I don't even know. It might have been before.
Yeah, 2019 maybe, just as we were like creeping into it. So I released Cinema, and then I just kept writing, and then I just wanted to release like every week, which, like, you know, obviously, I've just like released loads of tracks since then, and I've released 2 EPs, Words for Love, and obviously Third Person now, which came out last year, which was really fun. And I think just like writing with different people just made like all these songs, and I was just like, I just want to release them, you know, which obviously is a good thing. And sometimes looking back, I'm like, oh, why did I release that track at that time? But, you know, it is what it is now. Like, it's done. But yeah, and like album as well, your album, like amazing. How was the process?
So it's actually my second album. I released one in 2019. Like you, I released a few EPs before that. I think my first EP, getting into that, I didn't really know that you could just release an EP, because I just assumed it to be signed and all that sort of thing.
Literally.
And then I saw someone at a gig and they were like, oh, I'm releasing an EP, and I was like, how do you do that? How do you do that? I think it was Danielle Lewis, if you remember.
Yes.
So she was releasing this EP, and I was like, oh my god, I'm just going to do it. Like, apparently you don't need anyone else, but obviously you like kind of do, but you don't.
But you don't. Yeah, independent.
But so fast forward like however many years that is, and I'm not as good as maths as you apparently. I released my second album just this last year, back in October. It was a really fun process. I worked with new producers, so I've worked with a lot of different producers. I think I worked with like almost someone different on every EP. I cut a couple of them. I think Lee was amazing. I stayed with Lee for like my first album and a couple of EPs. But I was just sort of ready to work with new people and explore things. And I went to write a song with Millie Blooms and her husband Dan Fry in their studio in Monmouth. And we were like, let's just write a song, see what happens. I didn't even know she was a producer, I knew she'd like done a bit, and I didn't really understand like the full extent of like she's a full-blown music producer. I was like, amazing, cool. And she was showing me stuff she'd worked on with other artists. We ended up writing Snake Like You, which was the first single off the album. I was just like, I literally rang like my manager Rich, and I was like, these guys are like producing my album, like I've decided, here we are, we're just gonna do it now. So it kind of all came from there, and that was like 2-3 years ago.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And I wrote a few with them, wrote a few with other people, and just sort of brought them in, and they had such a good like hand in like arranging it. And you know, that I'd come with like maybe 3/4 of a song, and then we'd be like, what if we like change that bit? So they had a massive hand in that as well. And I think that's really important, you know, like collabing with people. Like I love it. I don't know about you, like obviously you can write a track on your own and then be like, I just need something else, there's like something missing, and then all of a sudden you like work with someone and it just all comes together and you're like, that's it, like that's absolutely.
the one.
I think it's a lot quicker when you write with other people. Like I used to be very much like, no, if it's my song I have to write it by myself. No, I'm not gonna like write with other people. And I did a bit of it in uni, and I was like, oh, other people are just driving me nuts. I can't work with anyone, I'm a diva, like no. No, I think it's just finding the right people that you really click with.
100%.
But I love co-writing now, and I kind of rarely do writing on my own now, which is
literally
the other way around. So,
definitely.
Definitely love collaboration.
And like that's so important, you know, like just collab with as many people as you can, I guess, and just and like you've said, like there's tracks that sometimes I go into a studio and I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if this song's going to be released, and then all of a sudden like in a couple of months it's out there and it's like one of my favourites. Like I don't know if you get like that, you're like, oh, I'm not sure, like absolutely. Sit on it for a while, and then you're like, yeah, okay, let's just release it and see what happens. And then I
think it's so like depending on how you feel. Like I've written songs where I'm like, oh, it's all right, and then like 2 weeks later I'll be like, show it to someone and they're like, that's the best song you've ever written, and you're like, is it?
I know.
And then you listen again and you're like, okay. Or like other songs that like were never going to be singles off the album ended up being singles because in the studio we like completely shifted something, and I was like, actually, this is a bop. This needs to be like the number 1 single or like on the album, and kind of,
it's always them ones, isn't
funny,
it?
isn't it? And then other ones you like, I love the song, and then you just can't quite get right. So it's really funny. Yeah,
it is. Like obviously, like Swear Down was just like a single out there, one of my singles. And when we wrote it, I was like, oh, I don't know, like it's quite different to what I do usually, because obviously like I'm pop and like, you know, that poppy princess kind of vibe. And then like I released it, and then that track got like played on Radio 1, and I was like, wow, like what? Like it's crazy, isn't it? Like you said, them tracks you just don't realise.
That's amazing as well, because I feel like Swear Down is such a Welsh thing to say. So if that was on Radio 1, people in like England would be like, what?
Oh, literally, right, because I've got a funny story. So when I wrote the track, I was working with Ollie Marland, and he lives in America. Awesome. So we were on like Zoom, and I was like, I've got this idea, and it's called Swear Down. So like the chorus was like, swear down, nothing feels whatever. And he was like, sorry, but like, what does swear down mean? I was like, what do you mean, what does swear down mean? Like, I didn't realise that no one else knew. So I had to explain then. It means like, I promise, for people that don't know what swear down means.
Yeah, it's like 100% swear down, like, yeah.
Swear down.
I think it's quite a Newport thing maybe as well.
I think so. I'm not even from Newport, but yeah, so.
That's really funny. Oh, I've had something similar, like we were writing a song, and it was like me and this other girl, I think it was for her EP, and then we were writing it with this like slightly older man, and she said something like left on red, as in like on your phone, and he was like, what? Like left on read. And we were like, oh no,
on
it
read
means like you've seen it and you haven't. So yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like lyrics are quite generational, I guess, as
yeah
well.
literally, but yeah, so like what's your favourite kind of point in your career, I guess, or like favourite moment? Or I know that's a really hard question.
It's probably been like this last year, really. Like I feel like every release I've kind of stepped up something in terms of like promotion or in terms of festivals. It's funny now because this year I'm like, I've got an album to promote, but last year I had loads of festivals, and I was like, my album's coming. Like, it's like coming. Yeah. So yeah, I guess like you can do it either way around. But yeah, last year was just a massive like. It was kind of like highlight after highlight, really. I think since I started releasing, I think I got on like the Welsh A-list twice. I played like so many festivals in the summer, like all up and down. They all like ended up in like the same week. So I was just driving here, there, and everywhere. I couldn't like actually go.
I see you travelling quite a bit. I was like, fair play.
Yeah, a lot of driving. And yeah, and that culminated in the album release in October. I got to do a few different shows around that with the full band, which was really, really fun. Hoping to do more. And then I got to support Macy Gray, which was insane.
Yes.
Not quite the same genre as me at all, but it was absolutely amazing. And that was sort of like,
that was probably like a highlight,
fluke,
is it?
but yeah, it was definitely a highlight. I'd say it's sort of like, it felt like a fluke, but then I guess it's like all the work that you put in just like puts you forward for the kind of opportunities.
Literally, and you don't realise, do you, like all the work that you put in, and you're like, oh, I'm doing all this and nothing. And then all of a sudden you have like an email through and you're like, oh, it's changed it now. Yeah, it's crazy.
I guess if you had sort of any similar moments to that, obviously playing on Radio 1 was probably a massive one of them.
Yeah, I think that was definitely like up there, and I literally like cried my eyes out when I had like the message through, because I was like, it's everything I've been working towards, and I was like, this is just crazy. And then obviously I played the Principality Stadium in March, I think it was.
Amazing.
And when I had the email through, I thought it was a scam. I was like, sorry. Like I was in Disneyland at the time, so obviously that was like a great place to be to receive the email. And I was like, ma'am, I've just like got an email saying they want me to perform at the Principality Stadium. And I was like, me? Like, no, like surely not. So I was like, okay, cool. And then I think like, yes, like all the work before that, and then having that email, like I said, it's like, oh, amazing.
It just sort of proves to you that like to keep going.
To just keep pushing.
It's always at the moment where you're like, oh, do you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. Like maybe I can't do it.
And there's so many ups and downs, isn't there, with the music industry? Like, you know, so getting them little tiny like, what is it like? It's like a stepping stone.
Yeah, a little stepping stone. Okay,
like going up the ladder, I guess. Yeah. And it's like a different step, like, you know.
No, I find it's always at the point where you're about to like, do you know what? I'm just gonna get a job. Like this is too hard.
Literally.
Like I think it was like, I can't remember what year, I think it was 2023. So yeah, last January, I was like, I'd applied for like a job with like, I think it was like the Music Venues Trust, and then I didn't get it. And I was like, oh no, like I can't even get a real job, and I can't do this, and it's so hard. And then like that weekend I got booked to play like one of the festivals I'd been like dying to play, Buckle and Boots up in Manchester. And I was like, no, okay, it's just being redirected back into this.
The
I am meant
universe
to do this.
is like listening.
I am meant to. Yeah, literally. I
believe in all that.
Yeah, I do as well.
I do. And everyone always like looks at me weird.
Happen,
but I'm like, the universe is such like an amazing thing. And like for example, before I played the Principality, I had an interview with Scott Quinnell on BBC Radio Wales. Amazing. And he was like, what's your like dream venue? I was like, well, I live in Wales. Like, of course, I'd love to play the Principality Stadium, like laughing it off. And then like a couple of weeks later, I had that email through and I was like, what?
That is amazing. Yeah, I think like manifesting.
Like, you just talk it out loud. Like,
it is. And I think like, it's that, and it's like putting that belief in yourself that you can do it. So whether it's like magic or like some like higher power or like whatever it is, I do think there's something, and we just maybe don't quite understand how it all works, but sometimes it works out.
Roll up, the show's about to start. Grab your ticket 'cause it's gonna steal your heart. Charming snakes and fortune tellers, a traveling love that's trying to sell us. I got the real thing. I always make magic with you. I always make magic with you. To need no other man with his sleight of hand, call it quits with his bad box of tricks. Smoke and mirrors make it clear. I always make magic with you. Hold up, how'd you make me feel so sure? I got my ticket for my Mr. Mystery tour. Smoky nights and fire kisses, I don't need no genie wishes, 'cause I got the real thing. I always make magic with you. I always make magic with you. Don't need no other man with his sleight of hand, all the quits with his bad box of tricks. Smoke and mirrors make it clear. I always make magic with you. I always make magic. I always make magic. I always make magic with you. I always make magic. I always make magic. I always make magic with you. You need a circus clown who's leaving town, no rabbit hat or acrobat. The lion's tame, best up his games. Biggest star to pack his cards, it's all for show, baby, don't you know? I always make magic with you. Oh, I always make magic. I always make magic with you. I always make magic. I always make magic with you.
Oh, your favourite venue? What's your
Favourite venue? I was going to say there's probably a show I did. That's a good question. There's always like different ones. I did like a tour around Germany and the Netherlands and somewhere else, Belgium, a couple of years ago, and it was just like living room tours for people in people's rooms. We did like a So Far Sounds for one of them, but the rest were just kind of like just booked in people's rooms. And we had this tour manager who was amazing and really thought of like little unusual spaces to gig, and it was really unexpected. We played like this village in like South Germany that was like completely in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, do you know what, this is going to be like a bit shit.
Germany, no one, that's crazy though.
That's cool. So I was like, no one's gonna like come, it's just someone's house, but it was such a small village that I feel like everyone in the village came, and it was like the room was probably this size, but it was full of people. It was completely unplugged acoustic gig. You could literally hear a pin drop. And I think we put like a hat around at the end of the night, and people were chucking in like euro, and like we made more money than I've like made from paid gigs.
Literally.
So it was mental.
That's crazy.
And yeah, not quite a venue, but just like one of the most like, I feel like when your expectations are like not that high. It's like, oh wow, you've suddenly been like surprised so much by this. So, yeah, that was a really cool one.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, obviously all the festivals and things. But
of course.
It's always those little moments that you're unexpected.
Yeah, like the little tiny moments, and they're just so like, they're so special, aren't they? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So have you got any plans for the next couple of years? How are you
Yes.
How are you finding it with releasing? Is it quite stressful for you, or do you love releasing? I know you mentioned you just can't wait to get stuff out sometimes.
Yeah, and I think obviously releasing is quite expensive to be a musician as well, isn't it? Like, you know, so I am working on stuff, but last year I obviously released quite a bit of music.
Yeah.
So I think this year I'm just going to focus on playing that music to people.
I think that's so important as well, and I'm in a really similar spot with like having just released an album. Part of me is like, oh, next thing, I want to write some more, I want to get more out. But like, I think there's something really special about like, actually, I'm going to enjoy this music that I've just put out.
Yeah.
Because not everyone has heard it for like 3 years. Like I've obviously been listening to it.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? All the time.
No one else has. And
no one else has,
I saw something on like Instagram the other day that said like, even if 1 million people have heard your song, there's so many more people that haven't. So like, it's always new to someone. So like to keep pushing like the music that you've released, because it's still like just as valued even like a couple of years after.
Literally, yeah. And like obviously like my set has changed a little bit now because of the EP, but I still keep like some of my favourite tracks in, you know. And like even though they're like 3 years old or, you know, but then like Beyonce keeps crazy and loving her set. Do you know what I mean? Like
it doesn't have to be a hit yet.
No.
It'll be a hit one day.
But yeah, so that's my plans this year. And talking about albums, I'm actually just writing towards an album now because I feel like it's the right time, I guess. And
yeah, I think trying stuff out with EPs, like I always like change my sound slightly on EPs, and then I'm like, okay, I've decided now, and I'll do an album.
Yeah, literally.
Kind of
and I think it's
area.
like it's really important not to put yourself in a box as well. Like you know, like obviously, like our genres like country pop, like your country / pop, like you know, very much like that. And I feel like like you said, writing different things and just not being put in a box with like your genre. And I feel like we can both experiment with that because you know we do like a little bit of pop and stuff.
Yeah, because you had what was the track? It was quite like Lana Del Rey. I think it was Smoking Gun.
Smoking Gun, yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then your next track was different, and I was like, I actually really like.
Yeah.
You're sort of still finding like.
Yeah, I was still finding. Yeah, 100%. And I feel like obviously I play with a band now, same as you. So like tracks you hear on Spotify will sound different live because it's more of like that bandy kind of, which I love because I'm like people, you know, there's something for everyone. Then that's why I kind of like to do with my music because I'm like, you know. Yeah.
And for yourself, you know, you've got to kind of mix it up a little bit. And
100%. And like working with like loads of different people, you know, on that day, if I decide to go down a darker route, I'll just go with that. Because I feel like, you know, that's what happened that day. And then, I guess, definitely. So I feel like just don't put yourself in a box and kind of just experiment, which I feel like we both do.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I think like my favourite artists, I love Ed Sheeran and I think he's really talented, but he could be like on a folk night, on a rap night, on a pop night, and like
so good.
It's just so versatile. And,
and I love that.
Yeah, I love sort of bending genres. I heard like Lana Del Rey's doing a country album. I literally saw just before I came in.
Love that.
It's cool.
It's so cool. And yeah, like obviously like Dua Lipa as well. Like she obviously experiments with her sounds as well, which I love. And obviously like Dua Lipa's a queen. Like I love her.
Absolutely.
She's like but it's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think so.
Hey, what you say? If I said I love you, babe, oh, would you go? Would you run away? Oh, would it change how you feel? Would it make it all too real? Oh, would you go? Could I make you stay? And I don't wanna freak you out, but it's all I can think about. I swear down, nothing feels so good as when we're staying out. Sweet talk in the morning into turning round, so we never have to call it a day. Nothing feels so good. Hey, you're displayed in a frame at the center of my brain, reaching each of the corners, babe. Blush if it's more than a crush. Have I made this all too much? Oh no, don't you go, gotta make you stay. And I don't wanna freak you out, but you're all that I think about. I swear down, nothing feels so good as when we're staying out. Sweet talk in the morning into turning round, so we never have to call it a day. Nothing feels so, swear down, nothing feels so good as when we're staying out. Sweet talk in the morning into turning round, so we never have to call it a day. Nothing feels so good.
Yeah. Well, I guess, like, what is maybe your top tip for being a musician?
Oh, that's very broad one. I would say learn like every part of it you can. So like learn like obviously singing, performing, learn a bit of production, learn a bit of like promoting yourself, learn marketing, learn social media, like on a surface level, and then decide like, okay, I like doing this. Yeah. I hate doing production, which is me. I'm going to find a good producer to work with. Or like, I hate doing social media. I'm going to find a social media person to work with. And then you can kind of find your team out of like that. But I would say try it all and work out like what you want to pay someone else to do, essentially.
Definitely. That's a really good answer. I love that.
How about you? What advice would you give?
I would probably say do as much as you can, like a little bit like what you said, really. So obviously try everything and try and say yes to everything as well. Like not all the time, don't get me wrong, but you know, if opportunities come, like really try and show up for them, because I feel like coming up as a musician, like it's really important just to like show up and be there, and just like work with as many people as you can as well. I guess that's like a massive thing.
I think that's a really good one.
Whether that's songwriting, PR, like for example, you've got like your PR company, Monday Media, and like I've worked with you guys, you're amazing. But like obviously, like, you know, just try and work with as many people as you can and just build contacts, I guess.
Yeah, I think that we're both sort of saying like build your team up and work out how to do that.
Yeah.
I'd also say like probably believe in yourself, and it's really, really hard sometimes, but like keep the faith that it'll come. Definitely. And keep pushing and keep enjoying it, because if you're not enjoying it, like,
and as soon as you stop enjoying it, you know, that's it.